run by the Mudcrab Milsim guys. They're based out of the Joplin area, and they run the D-Day Adventure Park out in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. It's a solid group of guys, and they tend to put on different events, ranging from war games, which happens once a year, and that event gets insane. They'll have like 400 plus people out there. They wanted to try something new for the airsoft scene, which was a 48-hour event straight, immersive game. So there was two factions. You had the Green Beret faction, which I was the commander for, and Kevin was the XO. And then you had the Russian faction. Well, in addition to the two factions, you had civilian role players out on the AO. And, they basically had two main villages. They had a main village at Colville, and then the other one was it's called Khan. And, the villagers were, free to do whatever they wanted. You had guys out there, like, running a ramen shop. You had a group of girls out there, acting like they were witches, as Degenerate, which was the Khan villager, called them, the gypsies, to the gypsies. And he was a religious zealot, and the villagers were just, they were free to make the decisions they wanted to. They could either choose to side with the Soviets, they could choose to side with the Green Berets. Essentially, the storyline, what happened was there was an earthquake in the area, and it brought a lot of disruption to this country called Crabistan. And as a result, the Soviet forces sent a battalion in there to try and bring peace to the area, and sway the local villagers to allow the Russians to come in there and establish dominance for their benefit. And obviously whatever Russia's interested in, the United States tends to want to counter what they're interested in, so they send a group of Green Berets to go in undercover and disrupt the Soviet operations. Basically, it was, the Green Berets were like the hardcore element, although the Russians turned out to be the hardcore element, because I will say I'm not envious of what they had to endure.
Those guys were beasts.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They were outnumbered to begin with, and their fob was not in a good location at all. It's a place called Old Pond.
It became New Pond.
Yeah, as Wade from Mudcrab Milsim said, it became New Pond. So what happened was, the Green Berets, we had to ruck all our gear in. So we had to have a packing list, we had to ruck all our gear in, and set up our fob wherever we wanted to. And when we entered onto the AO, we had to sneak past the Soviet checkpoint. So one of the things that we were given was some fake IDs, and Kevin held on to a couple of them. And there are some differences that gave these away as being fake IDs versus legit IDs. The Crabistani locals, everyone had a legit ID minus the Green Berets. What they didn't know is we had some undercover Green Beret guys and CIA guys already working on securing legit IDs as soon as the game started. So kind of worked in our favor. And we chose to take the long ruck march into the AO to circumvent the Russian checkpoints, and we got our fob set up, or where our camps were set up, and there was a rave on Friday night, and there's some footage floating around about me undercover dancing with the Russians. I had no idea who I was, so it was Darude Sandstorm looking at you. It was a good time,
When you even walked up to the commander.
Yeah, walked up to the commander and thanked him for the beverages that were being served, the holy water. It was a good time, man. Like, people right away, you saw just how immersed the people at the event were. Yeah, everything was going good, but looking at the weather forecast, there was it's not a 40-hour event unless it just fucking pours like, no tomorrow, and it drops like 20 to 30 degrees. And then, what was this, like end of April?
Yeah, so it's like 2:30 in the morning, and it just bottom fell out. It was crazy. And then what was it, about 4:30?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, probably within about 100 foot, was a lightning bolt. And these guys that were in hammocks, they were like, our hammock moved from the sonic boom.
Kept off the ground. I feel bad for some of these guys, man. They slept in puddles and they endured the night. I don't know how they did it. So it was like the mind games, the psychological games right from the rip. I mean, we had guys, we told them like, hey, when you come and do your registration, do not tell anyone you're a Green Beret unless it's the event staff. You show up in civilians, you start interacting with the other civilians, start talking to them, sell yourself as you're just another Nikolai and you're in one of the villages. And, no one knew who our Green Beret guys were since, before the event started. And we kept that in motion. And, I went undercover and I was undercover the whole weekend. I ended up, becoming the war advisor to the village leader of Khan, and Khan was an interesting village. So back to the role playing aspect, the village leader, you guys know him, it's Dan Altman. He's a great guy, man. His character he played to the spot. He was a religious zealot kind of attitude. He was like, the infidels over at Colville like to party and have a casino, and they partake in all sorts of how do I say it, like bad, like the religious,
the cult.
Yeah, well, they take part in a lot of blasphemous type of activities, and they worship a piece of bark called Barkley. They're trying to work with him and talk with him, because he controlled the Mudbean drug trade. Yes, the drug trade. There's coffee beans called mud beans, and it was a way to secure in-game currency so you can buy a wide variety of items throughout the weekend. I mean, if you had this in-game currency, you as a player, you could go shop for wares. I think Matthew bought this you can insert a picture. He bought this badass garment. He looked like a fucking knight without his armor on, kind of thing. You had guys who were selling books and CDs and just random shit that you felt like you were in a bazaar. And some people even went as far as cooking meals and taking the in-game currency, which I wish that I knew that ahead of time, because I wouldn't have packed any meals. I ate in the village all weekend.
Undercover media.
Huge shout out to Wade's mom.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that lady saved our lives a bunch of times, made some hamburgers, made hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
She's awesome. So a huge shout out.
Things I focused on was infiltrating Colville and being the war advisor to the Khan village leader, and working with the Khan village to sway their village leader's persuasion to be pro-Green Beret and anti-Soviet. And I say anti-Soviet because you can be pro-Green Beret and not anti-Soviet. You can be neutral, or you can even be pro-Soviet. At one point, the Soviets, anytime they got near the village of Colville, were shot immediately. We basically negotiated a drug deal with the Colville village leader. He ran a casino. It was basically a nightclub, hence the rave on Friday night. So the Russians were trying to disrupt the Mudbean trade from going on, because they knew it was how some of these villages were funneling money for weapons and ammo. We actually had to find the raw mud bean and then refine it into the bean form, which was the actual drug currency.
So day one, as Jacob was infiltrating, getting connected up with Khan leaders, we were basically just going over to Khan. We held security for a little while, meeting up with the guys there, just trying to be cool, just chilling with them, ask them how they were doing. Again, just trying to be friendly and win their hearts and minds. And a couple of different times, the Soviets would start coming over because they were going to raid them, and they were like, y'all need to get out of here because the Soviets are coming. So they actually even protected us. So at one point when the Soviets were coming over, we took off, they held their own, we came back in, and then as we started going over to Colville, that's when we started kind of meeting up with some of the other militia group, and they weren't sure even in their own groups who was militia, who wasn't. So they were connecting up with us as Jacob was connecting up with their leaders. So again, we were just really just making friends and figuring out what was going on, listening, protecting, holding security, things of that nature. I don't think we had one fight the first day.
You know, overall, my experience was a lot different than, you know, Kevin's, because I stayed undercover the whole time. And, you know, we had a CIA guy who was playing on the civilian team, you know, that was working with us, man. And, dude, he played the part well. Like, I mean, he looked like a State Department guy who was, you know, even had the fake-ass, like, CIA mustache on. It was legit, but it just, he's so stereotyped looking like a CIA agent. I was sitting down with the Khan village leader as his war advisor, getting introduced to the war advisor to the Colville village leader. And, you know, myself and the CIA asset, we're in this private meeting at Colville, working out negotiations between the two villages. We basically got both villages united against the Soviets, and God, I feel terrible for them. Their fob got hit, I think, 19 times in the span of 2 or 3 hours.
Yep. And from the Rangers' perspective, I think we helped with that once.
Yeah.
It was really the city militia that they had put together continued to raid them. Yeah. Because at the very beginning, what we didn't know was that the Russians nor the city were not provided a lot of ammo. So the Russians were going into the city and stealing the city dwellers' ammo. And so at that point, even ammo started becoming currency. And so we went over to Khan. Russians were coming by over there, and we took off back into the woods, headed back over towards Colville. We were coming around the backside. Well, then we ended up meeting up with 2 of the city guys. We weren't real sure if they were like open to us or not. Finally hook up back with Jacob. They get all the negotiations done. It was awesome. Wasn't a lot of firefight on the first day. It was just really a lot of winning hearts and minds, hooking up with some of the guys that we already knew from some of the other events like Vanguard. So Tim was there, and we were just talking to them and just chilling out and understanding what was going on with their part of the gameplay. And he was taking over the mud bean trade, you know, and ended up being like the sheriff of the city. So it was pretty cool. And a couple of different times. Now, here's what was interesting. The Soviets would get ammo drops. Now, we ended up with a Frago to where if we found the anti-aircraft missiles, then we could take those over to the airfield, take out their ammo drops. So Mac and I hook it probably a good mile, pick those up, hook it back to the airfield, 0. They saw nothing. Next thing you know, they can't get ammo anymore, and they have no idea why.
Yeah.
It was epic. It was epic.
Yeah.
But Alan Mack, and oh my gosh, one other gentleman, I apologize, can't remember his name off the top of my head. We were coming around from the backside, ended up seeing these Soviet guys in a foxhole, took them all out. All of a sudden, Alan's like, "You know who that is, right?" Guess who it was?
It was the CO.
It was the CO. It was Luke. And we hauled him back over to the village owner.
Unfortunately, like I said, Dan did a little too good playing his character as a religious zealot. So, you know, he was worshiping one god. Like, he legit thought he was the prophet. And there was so much conflict between him as a leader and the Colville village leader, because the Colville village leader worshiped a piece of bark called Barkley. And Danarchy could not allow that blasphemous idol to be worshipped. And, you know, there's a period of time on day 2 where they had such a falling out, it literally led to the Colville village leader shooting Danarchy on the spot. Guns were drawn, we all shoot each other, we just basically everyone killed each other. And that was kind of where the tension started to rise. And like I said, at one point the Colville village decided to, you know, announce their sovereignty from Crabistan. That was when Crab Rack was born. And at one point, the Russians, the Green Berets, and the Khan village leaders went to execute everyone in Colville. Talking to the game staff, they were absolutely perplexed. Like, what the fuck just happened? Like we thought of so many things happening, but not once did we ever think the Green Berets and the Russians were going to fight side by side to fighting against a
It definitely
village.
took a life of its own.
There was a lot of Colville villagers who had no idea what the hell was going on, and they just got executed on the spot. And yeah, that's where tension started to rise, and Barkley got stolen. Honestly, I don't know what happened. I can only go based off reports of what was said. Somehow it allegedly ended up in the Russian village, and we used that as a fuel to say that the Russians stole their idol to get the Colville villagers back on our side, and we delivered Barkley to them. And by we, I think it was our CIA spook who did all this shit and got Colville back on our side, and the village is kind of talking again until Danarchy decided to try to set Barkley on fire. Another thing that I want to talk about as far as like the immersion goes, like we had a recon team for the Green Berets, and I talked to Alex Fleming. God, fucking killed it, man.
Wizard!
Yeah, Wizard. I talked to him before the event. I said, hey man, I want you to lead a recon team. I was like, hey, get you and your boys, and you're gonna try to get all the intel you can on the Russian FOB, Russian troop movements and this and that. And man, he completely one-upped it. And Friday night at the rave, he's coming to me and he's like, hey, don't say anything, but the Russian CEO thinks that I'm a villager, and he hired me and my guys to work for them. And he's like, they're gonna give us fake IDs. They're
Real
gonna
IDs.
they're gonna give us real IDs. Sorry, the heat. They're gonna give us real IDs, Russian uniforms to wear, and they paid us to start getting info on us. So he was feeding them fake intel a week, getting paid for his work as a villager. He was a Green Beret the whole time, and yeah, he carried that the entire weekend. So
Isaac Wade,
yeah,
phenomenal event.
yeah,
Awesome.
I had an absolute blast. So what people need to understand is there's different types of airsoft, right? You got your Saturday weekend play where you're gonna get action as long as the game are going. There's some milsims out there that are geared towards, just being more like an open play style where you've got two giant teams, you go at it, and you're shooting all day, both days, right? Crabistan is an immersive type of game.
Strategic.
You have to go in there with the mindset that you are going to immerse yourself in this fake world and pretend that it's real. I guarantee there's guys out there who probably have crab rack, pages set up where they're probably still talking about like news that's going on in crab rack. So what I thought was good is the players did a phenomenal job with the immersion. I really like the immersive gameplay. Like it leaves the players to choose their own fate. As far as good goes, immersion, awesome. Gameplay was fun. It was awesome. Had a blast. What I'd actually like to see coming back to a Crabistan in the future, I would like to see more villages be populated. I think that the two village idea worked for the starters, but there was a lot of civilians within Colville that could have been spread out amongst the different map, and I think that would really have to drive on map control, and would have left more avenues open for I think the Russians to try and find allies elsewhere, because it was just too easy locking down two villages as a Green Beret. Being able to go undercover, whisper in the ear of the right people, it just I felt bad for the Russians. So I think moving forward, more villages in play would be my biggest advice. Other things I'd like to see changed is maybe establishing a Green Beret FOB where we as leaders of the Green Beret can actually sit down and really focus on driving out objectives to people. I think more objectives would have helped keep certain people more engaged throughout the weekend, rather than just kind of winning the hearts and mind thing. Because once you win the heart and mind thing, it's pretty much over with. You just
Pros of the gameplay, again, the game itself, immersion, great idea, love the story, just a phenomenal feel overall. D-Day is a phenomenal place to go play airsoft. I would say another huge pro, people. They had great passion for the game. They immersed totally, had great attitudes, even with the weather and everything like it was. Can't say enough about all the teams. Just enjoyed themselves regardless of the weather, regardless of the mud and everything else, regardless of having low ammo. I would say the only thing that I would like to see more of, and it really has more to do with just being prepared, because I felt bad for a lot of the people that came out there. Check weather, check those things, make sure you are prepared, make sure you've got the gear that you need so that you can stay warm, stay dry. That was probably the biggest con that I saw, that we had people dropping out, that they were awesome players, but there's only so much body can take. So, for me, really not about the event having any kind of major con. It was more just making sure people were prepared. Again, Isaac, Wade did a phenomenal job. Discord, having that really brought a lot of hype. So that's a huge pro. Allowing guys to come out with media crew and stuff like that. It was great because didn't charge for tickets for anything like that. So lots of pros and things for that. Just a great group. Great. I love the fall. Really looking forward to doing that.
So it was great, man. Just the immersion that a lot of these players showed for the weekend. So wrap things up, man. I had a blast. I'm looking forward to the next one. Unfortunately, we will not be able to make it to War Games this year since we'll be going to Copperhead. If Copperhead's not in your vicinity, it's not in your budget, strongly suggest looking at signing up for War Games. Just head over to the Mudcrab Milsim Facebook page and the mudcrabmilsim.com website, and you can find info on War Games and support those guys. They've got great mindset, great heart, and absolute pro fun events.
Yep. October we're gonna have Vanguard event, so sign up for that. It'll be here at D14. We'll be here. So it's going to be phenomenal. We've had the first two, so this is Vanguard King. So it's going to be the last one out of the series, and then they'll be starting new storylines and everything. But it's just going to be a great event here at D14 in Sanger. So sign up for that one. You'll see the apes here.
Degenerate Apes are heavily involved in the cinematic portions that will bring Vanguard to life.
I'm Pilgrim.
And I'm Jacob, #FuckJacobSolner. You can find me, one and only. Fuck that guy.
See us on DegenerateApes.com. See us on our Instagram. See us on our Facebook.
YouTube. And catch us out here at D14 on the weekends.
See us on our
Look forward to
YouTube.
seeing you guys.
See us on our YouTube channel.